So let's continue with the equation of the circle. Again, we need x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We need to solve this problem. So this is the center hk, and they give us a point. So if this is confusing at some point, just draw a picture, draw a circle, and the center they're telling you that is here, 3,4. This is the center, and they're saying that this point is -10. -2, that should be, if you really think about it, -10 and -2, that should be here somewhere, maybe like around here somewhere. And so this is -10, comma, -2. And if you really think about it, right, I can write my equation right away. So this is x minus 3, right, square plus y minus 4 square. But I have a problem. I don't have the radius. But that's pretty easy to tell. Look, if you draw a segment, you know that this segment, if you join these 2 points, that will be the radius. So how can you find the radius? Well, the radius is the distance between these 2 points. Either you can use the distance formula, or you can use the Pythagorean theorem. And you may say, how you can use a Pythagorean theorem? This is not a right triangle. Yeah, I mean, it is not, but there's ways to figure it out. So I'm gonna use the most simple way, which is the distance formula. So the distance will be, so let's call this point x1, y1. This is x2, y2. So our equation will be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And this is the distance, and this distance will be equivalent to the radius. So I can replace d with r. That will be your radius, right? In this problem. I'm sorry about that. And now you might say, oh, in my textbook, I didn't see this formula written in this way. That's fine. You maybe sometimes in your textbook, you might see this written on the left side and this one on the right side. What I mean is this: you can see this formula in different ways. You can see it like this, or you might see as long as you keep consistency of what you're doing and you're not mixing the x2s with the y2s, as long as you keep consistency. What I mean is this: if you like, for example, like, let me explain you this. So this is the distance formula. Let me erase that. As long as you keep consistency, you see I start with x2 here, and I start with y2. So that's keeping consistency. Then the second one was y2, and then I ended up with with the second one was with y1, and I ended up with y1. So as long as you keep that consistency, that everything is gonna come out fine. But if you, for example, let's say you write the formula this way, this is x2 minus x1 squared, and then you do this, y1 minus y2 squared, you're gonna get the wrong answer. So make sure that you don't do that way. So this is incorrect, okay? For simplicity, just write it as you see it on your textbook. Don't get complicated with that. But I'm just trying to tell you that you're gonna get the same answer regardless. So if I use my distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Now I need to identify which one is a, which one is x1, y1, x2, x2, y2. So the distance equals x2. So x2 here is 3 minus x1 is -10. So this is -10 square plus y2 is 4 minus y1 is -2. And this is also square. So if we compute this, we get 13 square plus 6 square. So that will be 169 plus 36. 169 plus 36. If you add these two, you will get 205. Okay, so that's, by the way, this is problem 18. So now if you recall that this distance is the radius, so you just need to plug that in the r square. So since r equals square root of 205, if you square this number on both sides, r squared is gonna be 205. So that's the value you should write here. So this is your answer, 205. This is your final solution for this problem. This is the answer. Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, next problem. Here they have a circle. So they're saying that there's a tangent line. Well, the center is at negative 16, negative 16, and 16. And they're saying tangent to x equals negative 19. So x, let's assume that it's here. So tangent means it touches the circle at one point. That's all it is to it. And so they're saying that this line is x equals negative 19. So if you recall, like if you think about it, what is the distance from, look at the x values here. This is negative 16, or 8, in this case is h, right? But the distance from here to here is just 3 units. So that implies that the radius is 3, because this is 1 point on the circle, and the distance from 1 point to the circle to the center is just 3 units. So that implies that the r equals 3. Now, can you solve the problem? Of course, because you have everything that you need. So the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So what is h? This is h and this is k. So this is going to be plus 16, and this is going to be minus 16, and this is r squared. With r was 3, if you square that, you get 9, and that's the answer. I hope you understand. Next problem. I'm gonna try to do this as fast as I can because I don't have time now. Okay, so they're saying the center lies in the second quadrant. If you don't know what's the quadrants, this is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. So just keep that in mind. Second quadrant is here, so the center lies here. And they're saying that the circle is tangent to y equals to the y-axis. So it means this line here is tangent to the y-axis. And they're saying that is tangent to y equals 5. So y equals 5, let's assume that it's around here. So y equals 5. Let me put that in different color. Y equals 5 is here. Tangent, right? And they're saying y equals y equals 17. So 17, let's assume that it's around here. So this circle is tangent to to this line equals y equals 17, this line y equals 5, and this line y equals x-axis. And they're saying the center lies in the second quadrant. So this circle must be here. So if you move this circle here, remove that circle because they're saying it's tangent. I'm sorry about that. They're saying it's tangent to that. So now, if I want to find out where my center is located at, I have to think about it. So if you're trying to find the center, well, you can think about HK. So if you think about it, what is the distance from 5 to 17? Well, the distance from 5 to 17 is 12, right? So there's 12 units here. From here to here is 12 units. So if you think about what's half of that, that would be 6 units. So if I go from 6 units up, I'm going to end it up by 11. So that means that that's the y coordinate of the center, right? Or basically the midpoint between those two numbers. If you add 17 plus 5, that's 22, divided by 2 is 11. So that's the k value of the center, right? So that's the y component, so this is 11. And now I need to find out what is the x component. But remember, this is y equals 0, right? So that means that you move, if you recall, we know that the center is from 5 to, the center is from 11 through 17 and from 11 to 5. So if you want to find out what is the radius, well, this is pretty easy to tell, right? Because in this problem, what you need to do is basically, if you recall, the distance from here to here is 6 units, right? So that implies that the distance from here to here is also 6 units. So I can find out the radius really quick, and I know the radius is 6. And then the other thing I need to do after that is find out what's the x coordinate of that center. But if this line is y, I mean, you start at x, well, the y-axis make y equals 0, right? In this case, but let me try to explain to you in a different way. So if I have this circle here, right, and this is the center here, this center here, right, and this is the tangent line of the y-axis, right? So if I want to find out the distance for the x coordinate from here to here, you have to think about this. Well, if I'm at 0, at x equals 0 when on the y-axis, if the radius is 6, I'm moving 6 units to the left. So that means that this is negative 6. If I'm here at x equals 0 and the radius is 6, and if I want to find out the h coordinate of that, that would be negative 6, right? From 0 to negative 6. So this is negative 6. So you have the center, you have the radius, and you can write the equation. So the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So what is this? X minus, what's h? H is negative 6, so this is going to be plus 6, plus y minus, what's k? K is 11, squared equals r squared, that's 36. And that's the answer for this problem. So you should be able to understand really quick how to do these problems. If you get confused with something that I said before, I apologize for that, but I mean, this is the idea, right? Okay. I'm gonna try to do this last one really quick, and then I will try to upload it. Okay. So here we have, they don't give me the center and they don't give me the radius, but I know that these are the ends of the diameter, right? So this is, I can call this x1, y1 if I want, and this is x2, y2. And then if I draw a circle here, this looks like, okay, so this is the circle. And if I want, they're saying that this is the endpoints of the diameter. So this is 6,82, maybe that's around here. And this is 6,82. And this is x2, y2. That's how I label it. And then if I have negative 12,16, that might be here probably. So this is negative 12,16. And this is x1, y1. So if I want to find out, they're saying ends of a diameter, that means that if I draw a segment, a line segment from the one endpoint to the other endpoint, assuming that this is a perfect picture, let me try to move this if I can. I think that makes sense. Okay. So if I'm trying to recall this, so this is the diameter, so I need to find out the center. So if I have two endpoints, if I find the midpoint, I can find that center. So midpoint, recall that this is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And the midpoint is, well, we have that label already. X1 is negative 12 plus 6 over 2, and this is y1, 16, minus 2 over 2. And if you recall, this is negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. And then this is 14, this is 7. So this is the midpoint, negative 3, 7. Now I have HK. Now I need to find out the radius. So this is pretty easy because, I mean, if you find out the distance from here to here, right? From the center to one of the endpoints, then you can find out the radius. So let's do that. So we can use the distance formula at this point, right? Let's use the distance formula, and the distance formula will be your radius. So the radius equals the distance formula, which is the same as, well, x1, y1. Like I told you before, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna do x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And let's see what we get. R equals D equals x2. What is x2? This is 6 minus x1 is minus 12, and everything squared and then plus y2. Just recall that we are using, so we said that, so if we're using this endpoint here, we will have to use this endpoint here, right? So don't mix them up, because the way I was doing, I was mixing up something. So I have to erase this part. I'm sorry about that. So this is x2. X2 is 6. Now you're not gonna use this point at this time, or if you, I mean, yeah, we can use that. So x2, I mean, we're not gonna use this one. We're gonna use this one. So let me, even though this is hk, we can use it as at x2, y2. So let's label this x2, y2. So this is x2, y2. So we have x2 is -3 minus x1 minus 12, and everything squared, plus y2. What's y2? 7 minus y1 is 16. Everything is squared. So if you do this, or you simplify, you get, here you get 9. So this is 81. I mean, if you combine like terms, this is -3 plus 12, that's +9. +9 is 81. And this is -7 minus 16. That should be -9. And that's 81 as well, right? And then if you add those two, you get 162. And that's basically what you need for this problem. So you have the radius, but remember that you need the radius square. We need to write this equation now. So the equation of the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is r squared. Let me erase that stuff that is here. And what I need to do is just plug whatever I have. So my center was this guy here. My center was this guy. So this is x minus, remember now this is hk again. This is hk. So this is x minus -3, that's +3 squared, plus y minus 7 squared, and this is r squared. So you need to square both sides. So this is r squared, and this is 162. So this is 162. So that's the answer for this problem. 162, 162. That's the answer. Okay. And I'm gonna stop here because of the time limit. So I'll see you later.